Episode 93, Disney Plus and The Mandalorian. Welcome to the Visionary Variety Podcast, where we cover cool stuff like photo, video, film, books, and technology. So switch on your brain and enjoy the show. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Daniel Grove. I'm the host of this show. I also have with me one of my friends and guest of the show, Joshua Howell.
Hello, hello.
So for any of you out there that are new to listening to this podcast, we are a weekly podcast done strictly as a hobby, no money involved, no gimmicks. We don't sell shirts, not yet at least, but we just love to talk about nerdy stuff. If you scroll through the episode listing for the podcast, you'll see we are a variety show. It's in the name. So we like to talk about movies, nerdy stuff, news, video games even, anime, comics, you name it. It's probably been brought up. When I made this podcast, I could not narrow it down to one topic. I really just couldn't, because me and Nate, who started the podcast, we love too many nerdy things. So we just said, hey, let's just make it a variety show. And I said, I think I got a name in my head. So here we are. Hope you like this show. Definitely subscribe on any of your podcasting apps. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and you can listen to our episodes on YouTube as well. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes or topics you'd love for us to discuss and look into, you can email us or write us on any of our social media accounts, and we'll do our best to maybe, possibly, make an episode about that. All right, well, let's get on with this week's discussion. We're first going to talk about Disney Plus, a streaming service, and then we're going to move on to talking about the most awesome show, The Mandalorian, and there will be spoilers involved. So if you have not seen episode 1 or 2, you may want to pause before we get to that point and go watch the show. It's only 30 minutes each, and then come back and listen to the second half. So first, let's talk about Disney Plus. Josh, were you looking forward to the service before it was available?
I was. I heard that Disney Plus was coming out, and I kind of heard the basis of what they were planning on doing, pulling everything together, giving us one clean platform for everything. And as a self-proclaimed comic book nerd, I was, especially for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I was super stoked for that. That way I didn't have to search through HBO and Hulu and all these other streaming services and all these other accounts that I've had. I could just be lazy and get it in one spot. That, and since Disney's taking over the world, I was, why not? Let's just give them some more money. So
get in early. Maybe they'll be nice to you when they take over the world.
Yeah, maybe.
They'll give you a nice corner cell.
Yeah. Yeah, my daily rations of Marvel. So
well, with Disney being such a huge producer over the decades of so much movies and content, it just kind of makes sense for them to have a centralized platform to pull everything into. I love what Disney makes. I love the kids shows, kid movies. I love the adult stuff. Them incorporating Marvel and Star Wars, of course, I'm hooked on. So I'm sold. I got it as soon as I could. And actually, here's a little life hack. If you have Verizon Unlimited, any kind of unlimited plan with Verizon, you can get a whole year free of Disney Plus.
Nice.
And so I'm switching my plan to unlimited. Funny, I'm actually saving a few dollars by I canceled some things. I canceled an old tablet that had data, and then I switched both my wife to unlimited and on my account, and I'm getting a free year of Disney Plus, so that's pretty cool. And no, They're not paying me to say that. So check that out. You might not be saving money, but in my case, I was.
With the streaming service, I was actually really surprised to find out that Disney also owns National Geographic. So I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I had no clue. I love the National Geographic channel. I also love history, and I like to learn about the world that we live in.
Like the real world and stuff?
Yeah. Not just
weird.
So I like to know what is actually happening. So when I opened up the app for the first time and I saw the National Geographic option, that one really intrigued me because I had no clue. So, you were talking about the adult content, for the adults that are just interested in learning and interested in the world, there's a ton of stuff in just that section.
Yeah, that kind of sold me. Like I was still leaning towards getting it eventually. But when I saw National Geographic, I was like, okay, I don't care about ESPN. I do not do sports. I don't know first thing about sports. I go to Super Bowl parties for the nachos and the drinks.
What about the commercials, bro?
Oh yeah, those are cool too. Yeah. But National Geographic really excited me because I feel like not having cable, I feel like I've missed out on a lot of like documentaries, like Earth. I know that's on DVD and stuff, like the Earth documentaries. And just all the stuff they do is top notch. So I'm looking forward to watching some of that stuff with my kids.
Yeah.
My wife's uncle posted something interesting on Facebook. So he signed up for Disney Plus, I think yesterday. And when he opened it up for the first time, it had him and his wife's name listed. It also had his son's name listed. His son is not even a year old yet. How did it know? He's kind of freaking out because he's like, how did it know my son's name? I didn't make an account for him anywhere. Is that not weird?
That's crazy.
It's a little big brothery to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our phones, especially our phones, are always listening to us anyway.
Yeah.
And so, but that's weird.
That reminds me of a really interesting article I read a while back about a guy whose father passed away. And I forgot what tipped him off to this, but basically he found out that somehow Google had been aggregating all kinds of data. I mean, we know that already. We don't know exactly how, where, when, or what, but it's aggregating your data, for your search results, your logins, your everything. Every time you do a transaction or put in your information, it's saved somewhere. But all that to say, it had basically found a home address that the son didn't even know about. And it had all this information. It kind of like built a bio he found like it was either in the cookies or... it was some weird place. He was looking pretty deep, and he found some records from about his dad that he didn't even know about.
Huh.
Pretty freaky, weird stuff. So,
yeah, no,
that's kind of scary. As our digital lives increase in size and bloat to obesity, the stuff that these companies know about us is kind of worrisome.
Yeah.
By the way, next week is our conspiracy theory episode, and I'm totally excited for it.
It's going to be so great.
Deep dive into some wacky stuff.
It might have to wind up being a 2, 3, 4 part. I mean, shoot.
I hope so. Yeah, or even a reoccurring thing. Maybe every season we'll do one. I mean, there's plenty of conspiracy theories to go around.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's bring it back to Disney Plus. So before we get to talking about The Mandalorian, one more thing I want to discuss with you is what are you most looking forward to watching on Disney Plus?
Again, I'm a Marvel nerd, and so I've got a list of shows that I'm looking forward to. So obviously, most Marvel fans are looking forward to the new shows that they've already announced. The Marvel's What If animated series. I think that's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most.
It's gonna be fun,
just because they can literally do anything that they want with it. And I loved the What If comic book series. It was so fun because you just never knew what was going to happen. WandaVision and Loki obviously is going to be so good, especially with recent news where they've already come out and said that those two shows are going to tie directly into Doctor Strange to the Multiverse of Madness. So you're going to have to watch these shows to know more of the information going into that movie.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
And then I heard today, and I know this is kind of going into The Mandalorian, I'm looking forward to seeing if they're actually going to do the spin-off show from The Mandalorian about Cara Dune, who is Gina Carano's character in The Mandalorian. Spoiler, not spoiler, because we don't even know who this character is because she's not in the first 2 episodes. But if they're already talking about giving her her own show, like, she's gonna have to be an epic character.
You must be awesome. Prepare yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the new stuff I'm looking forward to. I want to go back and rewatch the 90s X-Men animated show.
Oh yeah.
There's so many things on Disney Plus that I'm looking forward to. I might have to quit my job and I don't know, start selling blood to pay for my cell phone bill and just I'm going to have to Disney Plus, if you're listening, you're going to have to help a boy out because there's so much stuff on your app. What about you? What are you looking forward to?
So I'm looking forward to, I kind of want to watch some of the old, like, classic princess movies. Like, I don't remember a lot of the old ones, like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and of course Aladdin. Like, I watched those when I was a kid, but scrolling through the kid stuff today and the animated stuff with my kids this morning, I was kind of like, you know what? I want to, and I feel like I need to, with my line of work. Like, I need to know these. I need to watch these. So I'm going to watch some of the classics. I also want to watch The World According to Jeff Goldblum. which I know zero about, but I just love Jeff Goldblum. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's going to be great.
Who doesn't? Love
Whatever
Jeff
it is.
Goldblum?
I would just follow him around in video form and just let him narrate his life. That would be great.
I think that's probably what this show is.
Is that what it is?
I'm thinking, well, I'm looking at it. The first show is about sneakers, and the second episode is about ice cream. So, yeah, there you go.
I'm sold. So that there is something called Imagineering, or The Imagineering Story, which I think is like a documentary about Disney, I'm guessing. That I heard that was really great. And of course, the not yet out future Marvel stuff. Is it Phase 5 or Phase 4? I keep mixing up the phases.
4.
I think it's Phase 4. Okay. So that stuff, which we've covered in previous episodes. We have at least, I think, 2 episodes that in different ways cover all that's coming out in with those different shows, the possible story arcs that may be happening from the comics, and kind of a brief intro, kind of like a prep for each character, because a lot of these characters are not super familiar, like She-Hulk and Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel, characters like that are kind of like, B team, C team heroes. I'm looking forward to seeing some new characters and some new stuff like that. And I'm kind of hopeful that Star Wars might hit a new stride.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot of flack and a lot of negativity, not really from me, but from, toxic fans and just other critics and stuff about the new trilogy. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe this platform might be more successful and more well received, and also a better storytelling device for the general Star Wars, universe.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
We've already got the show about the character from Rogue One. I'm having a blank. Andre, I think is his name, or the actor's name. There's already a planned show for him, and that's been known for a while, and I don't hear a lot of talk about that, so that's coming for sure. You just mentioned a spinoff possibly coming out of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, they've already announced the Obi-Wan.
Oh, that too. Yeah, there you go. So maybe Star Wars movies will slow down. I don't know. And TV shows will pick up. We'll see. But I'm hopeful, for a higher quality, more long-term storytelling for Star Wars, that it deserves. It is. I feel like it's better on TV. Same with Star Trek.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, for sure.
more time to develop characters and stuff like that.
That's the nice thing about sci-fi shows is they need to be TV shows, because you need that opportunity to build the story arc, build the characters. George Lucas came out in an interview recently and said that he hopes that Disney Plus is the new direction that they go with the Star Wars stories, to give them the more long story format, where like the Obi-Wan series, I think they've already announced that it's going to be like 4, 6, somewhere in there, 6, maybe even 8 episodes. So that's 6 hours of Obi-Wan story that, if it was a movie, it'd be condensed down into 2, maybe 2.5 hours. And so you're going to miss a lot. There's a lot of detail that they're not going to be able to go into. So I agree with you. I think Disney Plus should be the way that they go. Kind of slow up on the movies, because the movies have gotten caught some flack lately. They've been entertaining. I'm a Star Trek guy. For the new listeners, the old listeners, you already know that. I will say, as a Star Trek guy, I went out to Office Depot again. They're not paying us for this ad, but I did buy a brand new pen, and it's a Yoda pen. So it is. So
good timing.
Kind of funny how that worked out. CBS All Access with Star Trek Discovery. It's such a great story. It could never be a movie. And as a Star Trek fan, I would never want to see it as a movie. And as a sci-fi fan, I've really enjoyed The Mandalorian so far, because I feel that there's already been details and part of the story that we would never have seen if this had turned into a movie.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, let's dive into The Mandalorian. So before we talk about episodes 1 and 2, which will definitely include spoilers, I want to kind of paint a picture of the area of the galaxy that we're in. I also want to explain what the Mandalorians are briefly, and just some of like the base, foundational things that there's a lot of confusion about. So the Mandalorian himself, he is part of a larger group of humans called the Mandalorians from the planet Mandalore, which is named after the very first ruler whose name was Mandalore. So the Mandalorians are a really interesting group of people. They are very religious in an interesting kind of way. You do get one line in one of the episodes where it says, "I can't give up my weapon. It's part of my religion." They have very strong traditions and ties to things like their armor, their weapons, fighting, being powerful, being butt kicking, just soldiers in war and things like that. The Mandalorians themselves are actually grouped into different tribes. And throughout time, they have kind of gone through different schools of thought concerning what to do. Mostly Mandalorians have been very aggressive. They actually did move outwards from their home planet, taking over other areas till they hit the area that was protected by the Jedi. And so the Mandalorians and the Jedi traditionally have a big feud with each other. They don't get along. They've clashed militarily and politically. There was a time of peace with the Mandalorians where there was a new tribe that took over, was like the main tribe, and they were all about peace. They weren't actually being aggressive or, warmongers or anything like that. Interestingly enough, in that group, there is a woman named Duchess Satine Kryze, and she is the love interest of Obi-Wan for a while. She does die, I think, in the Clone Wars. But interesting, you don't really think about Obi-Wan having any love or anything like that, but he does fall in love with her. Yeah, so she's actually a Mandalorian. I also discovered that Boba Fett is not a true Mandalorian because his father, Jango Fett, actually stole the armor from a real Mandalorian. So traditionally, we've always saw Boba Fett as a Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
Well, when the prequels came out, it's revealed from Lucas's writing that Boba Fett's actually a clone of his dad. He was the first of many clones. Jango Fett, who is Boba Fett's father, Jango Fett actually stole the armor from a real Mandalorian. So he's not even a real Mandalorian at all. Kind of interesting. A little plot twist there as the story developed. Yeah, and so that was revealed in the animated Clone Wars series where Obi-Wan's talking with a tribe leader. I think it was the leader of the peaceful tribe of the Mandalores. And he's like, yeah, he stole my armor. He's not a legit Mandalorian. So interesting little tidbit of lore there for you. As far as when this story takes place, it takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, which is episode 6. So that means that Han and Leia have hooked up. Ben Solo may be 2-3 years old at this time. I didn't look up that detail, but I believe he was born sometime shortly after, maybe not more than 10 years after episode 6 is over. So he could be born already. Rey may or may not be born somewhere else in the galaxy. But as far as I know, I don't know the planet where they're on right now. It looks like Tatooine because it's deserty, but there's a lot of desert planets apparently in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah.
So unless I missed it, it did not outline which planet we're on, which is kind of different. A lot of times in Star Wars movies, again in the movie world, it will have a little title, which planet you're on right now. It'll show you. And also, we didn't get a title crawl. Did you notice that there wasn't a little intro?
I did
text
notice
crawl?
that. I did notice that there was no text crawl, which I was kind of disappointed on that first episode that there wasn't one.
Yeah, I would like one.
Come the second episode, I was kind of okay with it.
I kind of wish there was one to at least explain what was happening in the galaxy as far as the Empire, because the Empire has fallen and this character's out on the Outer Rim. He's doing his own bounty hunter thing. But maybe because it doesn't tie directly into the Skywalker family or the Empire, because it's gone, maybe that's why there wasn't really enough to go on to make a title crawl. But Rogue One didn't have a title crawl.
Yeah, I agree. I think having a title crawl at least on the first episode would have been nice, but I'm glad that they didn't jump into it with the second episode.
I am surprised because it has been almost 40 years since the first movie came out, and we're finally getting a story on screen that does not have anything to do with the Death Star or the Skywalker family.
It's about time.
Now, I'm not a Skywalker hater. I love the Skywalker saga, but my goodness, everything has been centered around them, and there's always some stupid Death Star reference in every freaking movie.
Yep.
Even in episode 8, you may have missed it, but when they're on Crate, the salty planet, the whole movie, I'm thinking, oh, yay, we're finally done. Episode 7 had like another Death Star remake. Episode 8, I'm thinking there will be nothing Death Star in the movie, right? Nothing Death Star. Please let there be no more Death Star. Nope, they referenced it on Crate. They said, see that cannon over there? It's basically a small, laser from. It's a miniature version of the Death Star. I'm like, oh, there it is. Gosh darn it! It keeps creeping back. So fingers crossed. There's no references to that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Then all that to say, I love the Star Wars galaxy because it is so vast. And there's so many backstories of characters that you never even, knew were a thing. And we're finally getting, one step in the right direction, in my opinion, towards exploring more of those stories on screen. Now, the books, they've done a great job of telling all the different stories. And that's why I know that there's stories that deserve to be developed and ideas that need to be, seen on screen. We're finally getting one. Yay.
Well, they also have to figure out, from everything that I've heard you discuss and other very diehard Star Wars fans discuss, is they just have to decide which stories they're actually going to canonize, because there's so many stories out there that many other authors have just decided, hey, I'm going to write about Star Wars, and they've done it. And there are so many different storylines that they have to figure out which ones that they want to do, which ones they want to pursue. So, but I agree. It's so nice to have a non-Skywalker based show. And
it's like a breath of fresh air.
It is. It really is. And I like you. I like the Skywalker story. I like the fact that all of the movies have tied together in some way or another. I love the universe that they built, but like you said, after 40 years, at some point we
come on,
give the Skywalkers a break. Let them take a vacation. They don't have to save the galaxy again.
it's always them.
Yeah. There's other people. It's like Die Hard with John McClane. Like, give the guy a break. He doesn't have to be in every catastrophe known to mankind.
With the heroes that are always the hero repeatedly, you kind of wonder, how do these catastrophes always happen where they are? Makes you wonder.
Are they the hero or are they the true villain?
Yeah, right. They're the black hole for bad stuff. It just always happens around them. Did you see the new Godzilla movie? The latest?
The King of the Monsters? No, I did not. I saw the previews for it and I was like, I had heard about it and I had my high hopes for it, because Kong Skull Island I thought was actually really good. I thought the first Godzilla movie was really good. I thought that they were definitely building to this clash between Kong and Godzilla, and it was going to be epic. And then I saw
it's coming.
Oh no, they're still it's still coming. And then they came out with this one, and I'm like, I almost feel like they're rushing it a little too much now. So I just haven't taken the opportunity to see it yet.
Well, it's fun. I can't say it's a great movie, but it is a really fun movie. Definitely see it. But it's like that, where everywhere the main characters go, the biggest, baddest thing happens right there geographically. And I'm like, I think you're just bringing down destruction wherever you go. It's you're cursed. Oh man! So we were talking about original stories and new stories in the Star Wars, storytelling. Are there any stories that maybe you've thought of, or maybe a corner of the galaxy, or a character, or something that you would like to see turned into a show? Anything pop into your head with that?
Broom Boy.
Yeah.
Broom Boy needs his own show. You and I discussed it just briefly before we started recording. Little back behind the scenes information there, people. But it's everybody ever since he popped up on screen. He's been kind of one of those. I
need to know.
It's like is he force sensitive? Like, does he have does he have force abilities?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Totally.
Who is this kid? And so, it's like you said. We see him. They take his horses. Now what happens? Like, they took his whole job. Like, he no longer has a job. Like,
the animals are gone. He's still a slave. Thanks a lot, rebels. Or resistance, rather.
Does he become a Jedi? Does he become a Sith? Does he become
definitely a Sith?
A mercenary, just where I don't care who you are, I'm going to kill you. Because
maybe he forms a space PETA and saves animals.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. We can't get away with from PETA in our current existence, so why not put it into this Star Wars story?
Galaxy far, far away.
Which is sometimes where they need to go.
I would like to see a Harry Potter-esque story about a young kid or teenager that gets enrolled or, brought into the Jedi Academy of some kind. Maybe in the past, maybe their age restrictions are different. They don't have to take infants, which is so weird. Let them take in a kid or a teenager and follow this kid through years of training. Just learning this whole new almost magical world, like Harry Potter, this new world that he didn't know about with the Force and the Jedi culture and all that stuff. That would be really exciting, and I'd like to see that.
They've hinted at that a couple of different times in episodes 1, 2, and 3, where they go to the temple and there's the Padawan learners running around the young children.
The younglings.
The younglings. You see them, and then even in the newer trilogy, why Luke is now on this desolate planet where nobody knew that he was because of Ben turning into Kylo, destroying the temple that he had built. And so they've hinted at these temples, these Jedi temples with the younglings and the Padawan learners. And I think it'd be cool. I mean, Harry Potter was a perfect example. And if they could take kind of that format, that would be super cool. I'd watch it in a heartbeat.
All right, so let's talk about The Mandalorian. So what do you think about this being weekly release? Do you like that, or do you wish you could binge it?
I like the weekly release.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I, since we got married, we've always done streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, and we've always been able to just binge watch everything, and which is fun, but at the same time, So the newest one that the newest one that we binged was the newest season of Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
we had a bunch of people come over, and we watched the entire thing in one night.
Oh my gosh!
And after we were done, we were like, okay, that was fun, that was epic. Now we can't wait for the next season, and now we have to wait like 2 years.
Yeah, you do.
So. It's that, and we're not going to get cable, so I put an antenna up just to get some of the local channels, watching some of the major network TV shows where they're just a weekly release. There's something nice about that because it seems to free up more of my time, where I'm not just sitting there watching, 24 hours of a TV show in, 2 or 3 days. I've got time. So I like the weekly release.
I think it's genius for keeping fans, stringing them along, but it keeps
them coming back.
Yeah. It also allows discussion and, articles and stuff to be, populated about it more at a more realistic rate. Whereas when a whole show is online, like Stranger Things 3, it's just like, boom, people have watched it an average in 4 nights, sometimes 2 or 3. And I know my wife and I, we watched it in about 4, maybe 5 nights. We watched, 2 a night. And we finished it. And then I was like, okay, well, what now, Yeah. But I like the weekly. It makes it easy for us podcasters, especially for those people that cover this every week. It's like, hey, you can do an episode a week. Pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm all right with it. I know they did that with, Game of Thrones? What other shows have been weekly?
Well, most of the major network shows. I mean, your CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, HBO, they're all weekly shows. I mean, CBS All Access with Star Trek Discovery, it's a weekly release. Even some of the major network services are still weekly releases. I mean, right now on HBO, I'm watching the Watchmen series.
Oh yeah, how's that?
I never read the comic book. I was not a fan of the movie, like most people. And so I'm watching this show, and it's very, I don't know. I'm not sure if I like it, and I'm not sure if I don't like it. I'm still confused by it. My wife and I, with Amazon Prime, the series The Boys, that kind of the anti-superhero.
I want to see that.
That one is extremely graphic. I mean, probably more so than Game of Thrones was.
Wow.
So the weekly release, I mean, Hulu and I think Netflix are the only two that, besides Amazon Prime, that are dumping entire seasons. And I kind of expect to see them going back to weekly releases because they're going to, I think what they're going to see is Disney Plus succeeding in that. I don't know, maybe not Netflix. Because I think Netflix kind of prides themselves on the fact that they're allowing their viewers to binge.
Yeah.
Of course, Netflix is going to be interesting with them signing their new contract with Nickelodeon. with this past week. So
They got to do something to combat Disney Plus because
yeah, for sure.
yeah, they got competition now.
Yep.
All right, well, let's talk about episode 1 or chapter 1, as they call it. So, where do we start?
Should we just go ahead and throw out now spoilers? If you've not watched any of the Mandalorian, if you're waiting until you can binge watch it like a sociopath,
Like a Netflix user?
yeah, come on now. You're a Disney Plus user now. Be better than that. But
Here's your warning.
Yeah, here's your warning. Spoilers.
Well, something that this is kind of a strange note that I wrote down, but in the beginning of the show, when the Mandalorian, which we don't know his name yet, it's called Mando, when he meets the guy that gives him the big target bounty, when he gives him the bounty that, you know, carries him through the episode after the blue guy, that guy, he was tripping me out because I saw his face. I didn't recognize him, but his voice sounded just like Christoph Waltz, which is the guy, the German actor who played in Battle Angel Alita. Mm-hmm. He's been in a few other obscure films, but he's got this really kind of exotic German-ish accent. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Just crazy. Did you notice that too? Or
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, okay, I knew I'd heard a voice similar to his.
Yeah.
But I couldn't place it.
Unique.
But yeah, no, it's totally...
It's Christoph.
Yeah, it's Christoph Waltz, but it's not Christoph Waltz. I mean...
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, it's like he dubbed this other actor. That was strange. So I was not very impressed with episode 1. I'll just put it out there. And I posted on Facebook. I knew I would get flack, and I was expecting it. And, you know, I don't care. But I wasn't very, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't super like, wow, this is amazing with episode 1. I really liked episode 2. Episode 2 definitely picked up for me. Music-wise, action, story, everything was so much better. But one of the weird things that threw me off was on the very start of episode 1, we've got the bar scene, which, you know, every Star Wars, anything has to have an alien bar, right? Mm-hmm. The cantina. And there was that mean dude speaking in an alien language. And I was like, wait, are my language settings right? Like it was just going on in this alien language. And I had to check my settings. It's like, oh, okay, he's just speaking a fake alien language, and I have my subtitles on.
Yeah.
So that tripped me out. And then the blue alien, I didn't like him. I feel like he was an unneeded comic relief, his first bounty.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even seem alien to me. He just seemed like a human wearing ridiculous blue makeup. I don't know. It just wasn't jiving with me. And then he puts him in his cockpit. I'm like, seriously? Who puts your bounty prisoner, who you're going to basically sell him to somebody who's probably going to kill him? You just put him in the back seat. He's got handcuffs on, but he's just sitting there. There's buttons all over the place. He doesn't know. The blue guy could be like a fighter or an assassin. He could try to like strangle him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the first episode, of course, there's only 2 episodes that have been released. The first episode was definitely, it was
a pilot.
It was the pilot episode. It was like kind of a letdown because there's so much hype of the Mandalorian coming out. People freaking out, and so I nearly crashed the Disney Plus service. So many people were signing up for it that first day.
Yeah, I had some errors too, some problems.
But it was very clear that they were hitting the iconic Star Wars scenes and little Easter eggs. That everybody wanted to see, and it was almost like let's do it in this first episode, get it out of the way, that way we can start fresh in episode 2. But just real quick, you did mention that we still don't know the Mandalorian's name, but the actor Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian, the rumor is that he actually told us the Mandalorian's name in an interview that he did. I'll just quote the article that I'm reading. Star Pedro Pascal revealed in an interview that his masked Disney Plus character's name is
Drumroll.
Din Djarin, Dynjarren.
Interesting.
Din. Yeah. So
Din.
Din Djarin is based on what Pedro Pascal said in an interview.
We can just call him that then.
Yeah.
We'll see if we're right.
So Din.
So I don't know. Josh? Did you ever see the Star Wars Holiday Special?
No. So I was
Okay,
going to.
good.
I actually, there's part of me that actually wants to see it because I've seen the movie The Room. I've seen The Disaster Artist. So I've
seen the worst of
I've
it.
seen some of the worst, and it's because I'm just curious to see how bad people can make it. I've seen
Yeah.
Sharknado.
You'll be amazed.
So I actually kind of want to see the holiday special, but based on what you and Nate have told me, like almost begging me not to watch it.
because you're mostly a Star Trek guy. We don't want to give you any more ammo to use against us. Because that's what it is. It is perfect ammo against the case for how great Star Wars is. Okay. So last year, around Christmas time, we did an episode. We did, My Sick Twisted Mind. I was like, all right, guys, here's our assignment. You have to watch this YouTube link. What is it? It's the Star Wars Holiday Special. So we did a review. So that happened last year. So this year I got to find something else twisted to torture them with. Maybe, I don't know. I'll find something. But so this show, The Mandalorian, has two definite nods and canonizations of the Christmas special. So the first one is, of course, his awesome rifle with a tuning fork on the end. That comes from a random animated cartoon bit from the Christmas special. So in the Christmas special, Chewbacca's son, who makes the worst sounds ever, in order to communicate, it literally will hurt your ears. He watches a cartoon in the show, and voila, you have like this unnecessary 5-minute cartoon of Boba Fett, and it's awful. But he's got that tuning fork rifle, and so there's that. That's canonized, and it looks awesome. And man, when he shoots the Jawas with that gun, is that not awesome?
Yeah, that the first one he shot with that stupid thing, that startled me. I was not expecting that at all.
That's too powerful for the Star Wars universe. No guns do that. That's crazy. Now, apparently, that disintegration effect comes from a line, an offhanded line from Darth Vader when Boba Fett first was on, and I think Darth Vader tells him no disintegrations. And it was just kind of like ooh, what does that mean line, I'm sure, when they wrote that. But nope, we brought that into canon, where he literally will disintegrate people with his gun. Now, I'm not saying he's Boba Fett, but, same weapon, same tech, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then the second little cameo, or rather Easter egg nod to Christmas special, was Life Day. The Blue Alien says, I was hoping to get back, by Life Day to celebrate with my family. And that's the whole thing. They don't have Christmas in the galaxy far, far away. They have Life Day, which is just so generic and cheesy. I love it.
Life Day.
I know, right? Can you get any more unoffensive?
Jeez.
It's great. So I was kind of joking online that The Mandalorian is the Christmas special sequel. For those two reasons. Just to tick off someone who loves The Mandalorian. So the quality, speaking of which, the quality of this show is like movie quality. I mean, I love the CGI, the scenery. Where did they shoot this thing? It's good.
That is actually a really good question. I mean,
especially episode 2.
I had high hopes, not just because we were going to have a long format story of a Star Wars character, but because Jon Favreau was involved, and I love Jon Favreau. I think he's great, and with the money that Disney's throwing into this, with Jon Favreau at the helm, they've got a great cast. The production quality was going to have to be good. Like if they came out, and this is Disney again, if Disney came out and said, we're putting together the Mandalorian, we're bringing in Jon Favreau, we're bringing in Pedro Pascal, we're bringing in a pretty great cast, and then the production quality was like CBS nightly news stuff. I mean, people would have revolted.
That would be tragedy.
But it's been great. I think the music, the sound effects are right up there with Star Wars movies for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Especially the sound effects.
They probably have sound designers that worked on the movies on the team.
Oh, I'd hope so.
Here's something that was odd to me. Maybe I misunderstood it, but when they're tracking their bounties, how are they tracking them? Like, is everyone wearing a tracking device in this galaxy? Even a freaking baby? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, they can literally track them with proximity sensors, and they know how close or where the person is. How does that work? You know what I'm talking about? Little handheld antenna?
No.
It beeps.
I
mean, just take off your GPS tracker.
I just hadn't thought about it. Um,
Is it tracking their biosignal? Like some BS like that?
That's what Sure, we'll go with that. We'll go with biosignal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Biosignal. That sounds like Star Trek lingo.
I know, like Mark Cuban, a company that he's involved in, they're trying to figure out a way to wirelessly charging your cell phone, but they're trying to set it up to where you can charge it from anywhere in your room using sound waves. So you don't even have to put your phone on like a pad or
That's pretty
connected to the wall or something.
Acoustic.
And so I mean, there's this technology that's already in the works. So probably, these tracking dots are tracking
biosignal.
Yeah. Well,
your body odor.
There you go. So just follow the smell.
Was IG-88 a surprise to you? How did you like him?
I was not expecting a character like that to pop up in the first episode. But then he was very quick to talk about self-destruct. Like,
that was so funny.
Somebody has hurt this droid. Like, he needs to go see a therapist. I mean,
he had a bad droid experience as a child.
Yeah. Like, the father droid didn't love him enough or something. But I definitely felt that almost he jumped to that, and they talked about the auto self-destruct, in my opinion, almost too much. It was clear that they were trying to do it for comedic value, but as much as they did it, like, I was like, all right, just let him blow up for now. Like, I don't want to see him anymore.
See, what I swore was going to happen was I thought that Din was going to reach into his chest, grab the thermal detonator, because that's what it is. It's essentially a grenade, and toss it at the bad guys and like save the day.
Yeah.
I was like waiting for that to happen. It would have been a cool twist. Like, it's about to go, he yanks it and tosses it grenade style. Problem solved. But that didn't happen. I did like what did happen next. It was awesome. But I for sure thought that was going to happen.
That would have been nice. I would have been completely okay with that.
Something else that I liked about this is the alien music. Like, they got some crazy instruments.
Yes.
Playing some strange sounds that I really like. For the intense scenes, both on episode 1 and episode 2, where you would expect to hear some like epic chugging guitars or some wailing like guitar ballad lines. It's almost the same tenor and pitch, but it's this really strange organic sounding instrument, which I love.
It was definitely nice. I mean, it's a nice change from everything that you hear.
Yeah, it's not earthy sounding.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, most movie scores, TV show scores, stuff like that, after a while, they all start sounding the same. Whereas this one's definitely not.
Now, speaking of music, I did not like the credits music. It just was not Star Wars-y at all to me. I was just thinking to myself, what the heck is this? Like, it just didn't sound right. Someone said on a different podcast that they liked it because it was kind of Western, and this is like very clearly a space Western, I love that premise, but I don't know, just didn't mesh with me in terms of Star Wars sound.
No, I didn't really pay attention to the end credits and how they were, or the music behind them, because I went ahead and just kind of fast forwarded through them to see if there was anything post credit.
Dude, Marvel has got me doing that on everything now. I can't not check.
Yeah.
But I feel like an idiot. I did it for goodness sake. Our last episode was about the indie film Prospect. I did it on that. I was like, what are you doing, Daniel? There's no end credit scene. Stop kidding yourself. Watch too much Marvel. Well, we can't avoid it now.
It's Marvel and Disney. I mean, of course, I'm waiting for it. I mean, it's
true. You got reason to believe it would be there now with Marvel.
Right, Rise of Skywalker. It's going to have a post-credit scene. One thing that I do want to mention. So you were talking about kind of the origins of the Mandalorian race, and I thought it was interesting. And so in the first episode, you see him go to kind of this Mandalorian armory, and it was kind of one thing that I've always thought about the Mandalorian, especially with Boba Fett. The shape of the helmet was very kind of Roman soldier, kind of Viking soldier, Spartan style. Yeah. And it's clear that there's some samurai references in like Darth Vader, and there's some of these other Middle Eastern warrior cultures that are referenced throughout Star Wars. And so I was trying to figure out where the Mandalorian fits in, and you see it in the armory. And even with his comment of, I can't put my rifle down, it's part of my religion.
I love it.
They're the Vikings.
Okay. And their culture is very much Viking-like.
It's a very Viking style. You see, again, we made the comment about spoilers, so you see the armor maker, the armorer, whatever. Her helmet is very Viking, and even with the markings on it, it's very Viking-esque. And so I just thought that was really cool that we're seeing a different warring culture brought in.
Speaking of seeing things, you know what else you see in that scene? Boba Fett in the background. Watch it again at 18 minutes and something seconds. There's another cloaked and very similarly colored Mandalorian, I think by the doorway when Din walks in, and he's even got a dent on his helmet, which is like the telltale sign that Boba Fett, he always has that dent on his helmet. So I honestly, I think it's just an Easter egg to say like, hey, what if? I don't think it's literally Boba Fett. Yeah. But it's very similar.
Oh, maybe it's another clone.
Yeah, oh my gosh, the clones everywhere. Clone all the things. That brings us to the next point, which is the end of the episode where you find out that the big old bounty he's got is what appears to be a baby in a little hover crib. So cute. And everyone's freaking out online saying, it's Yoda. It's a clone of Yoda. I'm just like, shut up. No, it's not. There is no reason to believe that is a clone. I just feel like the Yoda's alien race. Now, here's a little deep dive into some more Star Wars lore. So forgive me as I geek out here, but Yoda's alien race has been kept secret, literally, by George Lucas. Now, not that he has a story that he's not releasing, but he's literally just not expanded into it. They've canceled licensed stories and toys and things that tried to expound on Yoda's race. It's been cut off and put down because they just don't do it. Yoda's origin planet, we don't know the name of his race. We don't know anything about his culture or, even his story, his life story. He's 900 years old when he dies and becomes one with the Force. We don't know anything about Yoda's back in history. There are only 4 or 5 other creatures from his race that are canon. Yaddle is in episode 2. And then there's a few others that I think are in the Clone Wars possibly, but it's still very, very hush hush. And I am stoked to finally get another one of his race as a very important role in this new story. I can't wait to see what they do with that. And of course, we find out that this cute little green baby is not a baby; he's 50 years old.
Yeah,
which is fun. A little, mind bending there. Which alien races age differently, and maybe they're an infant for the first 75 years of their life. You don't know.
God, that would suck.
Oh, poor parents.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Many diapers.
Dear Lord.
Diapers for a century.
Yeah, no.
But I love that the creature, the alien, is force sensitive, very, very much so. It literally tries to force heal him.
Oh, that was so fantastic.
Cool. He keeps putting it back in the stroller.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, let it heal you. You're an idiot. Just let it do its thing. And so force healing is not super common in the movies. I don't know if it actually shows anyone doing a force heal. It is a well-known force technique in the books, and I think maybe in the animated series they may have explored it, but it's a thing. But we're finally getting to see it on screen, so that's exciting.
I don't think I've seen anybody do the force healing, and the way my mind works, of course, I'm going, if this little 50-year-old little baby is sensitive to the force and is going to try to heal, a phaser blast to the arm, just kind of heal that. I go back to episode 3, and couldn't the Emperor have force healed Anakin instead of him going through all the surgeries that he did and all this prosthetics? Same thing with Luke. And so if they actually explain that, if they dive into that, I would imagine that there's probably limitations to the force healing. At least I would hope so, because I don't want to see somebody like lose an arm and all of a sudden up pops this little green little,
Deadpool style.
Yeah, all of a sudden he grows an arm back. Yeah, we don't need Deadpool in the Star Wars saga, but it would be hysterical.
Totally off topic, but I do have to give praise to that disgusting and awkward scene where his hand grows back, because like, how does Wolverine grow parts of his body back? It never shows that. We never see regeneration from all the various superheroes and mutants that have regeneration as a power. I feel like I've never seen it actually grow back. We finally see it with Deadpool, and it was hilarious and gross.
Oh yeah, no, it was so worth it. It was
a visual we didn't know we needed.
Yeah. Well, I'm not still entirely sure if we needed it, but I'm glad that we got it.
We got it. All right, so let's move on to episode 2. So the baby alien is revealed. It has multiple bounty hunters searching for it, which is intriguing. And I feel like you see this moment in the Mandalorian's like posture. Again, he's acting with a helmet on, but I feel like you see him realize, oh shoot, either the company has sent multiple bounties out on the same thing, or the same, this character, the baby alien, or there's other disconnected, gangs and groups and things that are trying to get this alien too. So this alien is very important, and he's learning that how important it really is. Now back to episode 1, and when I was mentioning cloning, I did read that the character wearing the white coat that gives him the bounty to get this alien, he's wearing an insignia that's only worn by clones.
To interrupt real quick, actually, I did read an article about that also, but it's not just worn by just the clones. If you remember in, what was that, episode 2? When
with the cloning facility?
Yeah, when Obi-Wan goes to the facility.
Oh, I love that. So cool.
Put it in Earth terms. The female alien that walks in to get Obi-Wan, she's standing there, and she, on her sleeve, is that symbol. That it's actually the symbol of the cloners and not necessarily the clones.
Cool.
And so, which is, so the thought is he's one of the cloners. He's one of the doctors that actually, they're looking for this alien. And that's why, I think that's why some of the thought bouncing around the internet is this is a clone of Yoda, because he's just trying to get it back. But I think
get it back.
Where I'm kind of landing personally is this is just another one of that race of Yoda and Yaddle. This is one of their race, and he's trying to get the baby because they have to get him young so they can try to clone him and get that force ability.
It's easier.
Because it's easier.
I think that too. Like I'm all for a cloning story as long as it's like someone who wants to clone him because he's one of the last or he's super powerful.
Yeah,
that's cool. I did have written down here that the music was so much better in episode 2, and the scenery was awesome. Like there's a lot of like kind of Lord of the Rings walking scenes where he's just walking and walking. But it's beautiful to look at. The music is great, and the scenery, the sunsets, the desert plain area they're in, it's just beautiful. And this episode 2 has such a perfect quest set up in it, where the Jawas steal all his stuff, his parts, and his equipment. And he goes to them, says, I want it back, but he doesn't have anything to trade for them. So what happens? They send him on a quest to get an egg from a dungeon. It's so fantasy. It's so Star Wars fantasy. It's great.
So crazy. But I will say the Jawas finally got what they deserve. Well, some of them got what they deserved. There's a little jerks.
Dude, I love throwing them over the ledge. I laughed out loud. I was like,
As he pulled that one out of the window and like chunked it. I laughed. That one made me chuckle.
It's funny. We're totally okay with Jawa cruelty.
Yeah. I am pleased to say that there were a lot of Jawas that were hurt in the production of this show.
Finally. They're jerks.
But of course, my wife, we're sitting there watching episode 2, and he gets up to the top of, he gets
the sandcrawler.
Yeah, he gets up to the top of the sandcrawler, and of course there's like 17 of them, and of course they shoot him. Like, what was he expecting to get up to the top and no one be there? I mean, come on now. You're a Mandalorian. This is what you do. I was half expecting to see him with like a jetpack a la Boba Fett, Like he fly up to the top. And
that'd be cool. He doesn't have one, I guess. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I didn't see him with that. Mm-hmm. I do appreciate the fact that they kept it very Star Wars, like with all the advancements, with this being Disney, with Jon Favreau coming from Marvel to Star Wars. Like he could have brought some of that in, but kept the Mandalorians climbing up the sandcrawler with a rope. I mean, like Luke did, swinging from one ship to the other. I appreciate that they kept some of it where it's very real world. Like, even though it's sci-fi and they have all this advanced technology, some of it, you just have to have a rope and you just have to climb. So,
yep. Yeah, he shoots his grappling hook, but it's not like a magical Batman grappling hook that can somehow pull your entire weight.
Yes.
Like he's got to climb. I like that too. I was like, all right, there's some realism there. That's nice.
I do agree with you. It did set up a perfect quest. And of course you had to keep it sci-fi with it being a hairy egg.
Oh, that was gross. That bothered me. It's like, that's a mop. That's a shag egg. Covered in mud.
Well, that's where we get the ShamWows from, so.
It's a ShamWow egg. Right around the time when he got shot and fell off the sandcrawler, I thought for sure he would get caught by the alien's force. Like I was just waiting. Like the anticipation was building to where the alien was going to use the force in some big visible way. And I thought he was going to catch him and save him from dying. But he fell like 100 feet and didn't die somehow. But that's beside the point. But when he did use the force on that monster, that was awesome. I was like, yeah finally.
And I appreciated how they did that. He uses the force only to a certain extent. Like you could see that it tired him out. He couldn't like. I was expecting him to pick the monster up and like toss it. Like he was going to throw it over the mountain or something. And I appreciate the fact that they're like, hey, this is a baby. Then he's limited in his abilities, and so so
and
you
he
saw
didn't hurt
that.
the animal.
Yeah. And he didn't. So there's a lot that they could have done with it, but I appreciate the fact that he's a baby and he's limited. Mm-hmm. So
when they went back to the ship to fix it, that was like totally an 80s montage right there, wasn't it?
Yes,
the fixing montage.
Yeah, that one. I literally blinked. I saw them. He gives them the egg. They leave back at the ship. I blink and the ship is repaired. Like, I was like,
right?
How in the world did this happen? I mean, did the Jawas help him put it back together? Did the weird old guy with the bulldog jowls help him put it back together? Like, I blinked at the wrong time.
I didn't know you could fix an entire starship with just some welding tools.
Yeah.
Who knew? Well, that's pretty much it that I had to say about episode 1 and 2. Do you have any other thoughts or any complaints or praises?
I don't know about complaints. I said it earlier with Jon Favreau at the helm. I have really high hopes. Yes, I'm a Trekkie, and I love Star Trek. Star Trek will always be my first love above Star Wars. But I have high hopes. I think like I said, episode 1, I was like, all right, yeah, yay, it's the Mandalorian. But I appreciated that they got all of that stuff out of the way in the first episode. And episode 2, I was really surprised. It just ended. I was like, I didn't realize I had sat here and watched the entire episode already. But of course, at the end of episode 2, that's when I'm going, I want more episodes. Like, I don't want to have to wait till next Friday for the next episode.
They were really clever with the timing of this. So it opened on the 12th, which I think was Tuesday, and they're counting on some people doing the 1 week trial. So if people did the 1 week trial, they would have got to see 2 episodes of what normally would be a once a week episode or show.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like they got an episode on Tuesday and then they got an episode on Friday. It's like kind of like a bonus. And after that point, they're pretty confident people will be sold on it and they'll pay for the subscription. And then next Friday they'll get an episode.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very strategic and clever of them to hook us with that.
I actually hadn't put that much thought into it, but now hearing you say it, it makes perfect sense.
In 1 week. Yeah, we got 2 episodes in 1 week for free.
Yeah. and Yeah, I think it's going to be a good show. I think this is the future of Star Wars. I hope it's the future of Star Wars. I hope it's the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, DC's tried it with their streaming service. I've actually heard that they're talking about shutting it down because of low subscription numbers. But I will say, I've seen Titans. It's very dark. It's very graphic, but it's very good. I like it. I like it a lot. I think, I think the reason why DC is not getting the views is because the movies were just really bad. But I see this being the future of a lot of things, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens with The Mandalorian, with Den. I'm going to be curious to see. I think one thing that I would like to see happen is I want to see him take off his helmet.
Me too.
Just because I think of course, hearing the backstory, hearing that Boba Fett is not a true Mandalorian. So of course, everything from me, for being a novice Star Wars fan, the only thing about the Mandalorians I ever knew was Boba Fett. And so
it's all a lie.
Yeah, knowing exactly. I mean, everything's a lie. And so I think that makes me even more excited because now we get to see who the Mandalorians truly are. And we get to see this Viking culture that they're kind of hinting at. And so he made the comment about it being part of his religion. Like, let's dive into that a little bit. Like, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. And knowing that they're already filming season 2.
I think it's really smart of them to have picked the Mandalorians as a people group to explore in a story like this, because the Mandalorians are just well known enough to attract attention and not be like, who the heck is that? I don't care. But they're also not so well explored to where there's no material to explore, It's like right in that safe zone of, it's a recognizable name, especially because people know about Boba Fett, but it's also a really lush, pseudo culture that's in this story and other stories that they can just really go to town on. And a lot of the stuff about the Mandalorians is not yet canon, I think. So that means there's even more leeway where they can make up their own stuff, or they can take from the books and modify it and make it, more fitted to what else is happening. So it's a really good zone of the Star Wars universe to jump into and make something awesome.
It's also going to be interesting to see what they reveal about Yoda's culture, especially with the baby.
More fertile.
Especially with the baby being such an integral part of the story so far. It's going to, I'm curious to see if it's going to last the entire season, or if at some point, like, the baby goes away and then we just continue with the Mandalorian, or, in season 2, does the Mandalorian have a green sidekick?
That talks like Yoda.
An angst-filled teenage Yoda.
Oh, gosh.
That's now, 120 years old.
Never a teenager you were. Very angsty. All right. Well, thank you, Josh, for joining me on this episode. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun.
To all the listeners out there, thank you so much for enjoying this episode. We would love to get some feedback from you guys out there. We'd love to hear from y'all. What are your thoughts on this episode? What are your thoughts on the show and Disney Plus? What are you looking forward to seeing most? You can comment that on any of our social media accounts, or you can email us at tvvpodcast@gmail.com. Well, thanks again for listening, and we look forward to being in your ears next week.
Live long and prosper.
May the Force live long and prosper. If you like this show, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You can also find our previous episodes there and listen whenever you want. We love to hear from our listeners, so if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, you can reach us at tvvpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week. So the episode... No, please.
Go ahead.
Episode 1...
No, so...
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'll hang up. You hang up.